Now it's time to reveal number 7. Number 7, they hate to chase on later streets. What do I mean by this? Obviously, 5th or 6th Street, you can still be chasing an opponent that you know with certainty is ahead of you, but you're drawing to beat him and you're trying to chase him down. Obviously, by 7th Street, you've either gotten there or you haven't. So we're really talking about 5th and 6th Streets here. And a lot of the time, you may have even as little as 25 or 30% equity, but because of the pot odds, and often by virtue of having a drawing hand, you'll have good implied odds, you're going to have the odds to chase an opponent when clearly you can't represent the best hand. You can't semi-bluff because you're obviously behind, but you just have too much equity to fold. A lot of times the deciding factor really comes down to your implied odds, and usually when you have the drawing hand, you have the better implied odds, even if your drawing hand is pretty mediocre, because if you never get there, you're not going to put in a bet on the river unless you figure you can bluff the guy off the hand, in which case sure, you might as well chase. If you miss and he folds too often on 7th Street, you can exploit him by bluffing when you miss. But if you don't make your hand, you're not going to put in that extra bet. But if your board is scary enough that you can bet on 7th when you get there, then usually you're going to get paid off, and you're going to win that extra bet, but you're never going to lose it. So the implied odds really help the drawing hand, and of course, since it's limit betting, often you're getting 3 to 1, 4 to 1 on a call on 5th or 6th Street. 6th Street is usually even more than that. Number 6, they suck at estimating pot equity. There is a poker stove type of calculator that you can use to figure out hand equities for Razz. It's called Pro Poker Tools. You can find it online. It's relatively easy to use and quite powerful if you haven't checked it out already. And it really helps to kind of play around with it to see what kind of hands have what kind of equity in different spots. First of all, you got to learn how to use it correctly. You got to learn the syntax a little bit and make sure you include dead cards and that sort of thing, or your answer is going to be a little bit off. But the more you play around with it, the better you're going to get at estimating the equity in similar spots, so you don't have to constantly be hitting the time bank and going over to do a calculation while you're in a hand, or for God's sakes in live poker, you're not going to have that tool at your disposal. So I'm going to illustrate this point here with a situation where looking at the actual pot equity is going to lead you to a pretty different decision than if you were just kind of winging it in the way you play Razz.